Hello, I'm Teresa Patterson, one of the watershed managers at the Mile High Flood District, and I'm here today to talk about one of the most challenging projects that I had from 2019, the Dahlia Outfall pipe. And I don't mean to disappoint you, even though this is a technical track, I will not be focusing on how we overcame the difficulties associated with laying a large storm sewer deep in the ground through a landfill. I'm actually going to be more focused on the dedication from the people on the team to overcome all of the difficulties we encountered. Like I said, there were a lot of challenges on this project. And yes, we were building a pipe, but for me, the story that I was taking away was that we were building relationships. Before I get into that, I'd like to give you a little bit of background with this video that Dave Skoudas at the Mile High Flood District produced that highlights a lot of the challenges with this project.
The following message has been brought to you by the Mile High Flood District.
We're building a large underground pipe to serve the Dahlia neighborhood, which has no stormwater conveyance at all. In fact, this pipe that I'm standing in right now will be completely full about every other year that we have, once a year, every other year. This project was jointly funded by the Mile High Flood District and Adams County through our Capital Improvements Program. The Dahlia Street Outfall is one of the last small pieces left in a bigger system to serve the Dahlia neighborhood. This project has been going on for at least 10 years, and this is one of the last pieces to put the major storm sewer in to convey water north into the Dahlia detention basin. This project benefits not only the neighbors in the Dahlia Outfall area, but also the businesses and those that frequent the area. The streets flood very frequently, and that disrupts traffic quite a bit. There's no open channel here because the neighborhood was built without any consideration of flood risk. And so now there's no place for an open channel to go because there's nothing but buildings and industry taking up space. The partners on this project are Icon Engineering that did the design and BT Construction, who is doing the construction of the pipeline. One of the major challenges with this pipe was that it's 20 feet deep, sandwiched in between an irrigation canal on one side and a recycling plant and asphalt plant on the other side. It has to cross the irrigation canal with overhead electric, and it's also going through a landfill at the same time. The difficulty with crossing the O'Brien Canal is that it's an irrigation ditch that runs 365 days a year. They pretty much have water all the time. And so shutting down the ditch to allow us to cross it without having to divert water around it was a big issue. One of the challenges with this project of crossing the O'Brien Canal is that they only gave us 3 weeks to do the construction. We would typically like several months to be able to do just that piece of the construction under the canal, to remove it, build the pipe, backfill, and reline the concrete canal. This is the type of project that is messy and expensive when there is no open channel to convey water. All the landfill material that we dug out had to be trucked to another landfill for disposal. The cost of this piece of the project, which is only about 2,000 feet long, is $4.2 million, which is about $2,100 per linear foot. Had this been an open channel, we could have done it probably for about $400 or $500 a linear foot. Thanks again to Dave Skoudas for highlighting the challenges on the project. Like I said, we didn't even mention all of them, but there were numerous things that had to be overcome in a very short period of time. For my story today, I don't want to focus on each of those. I'm just going to highlight how we overcame the canal crossing. Like I said, the O'Brien Canal is an irrigation ditch run by the Farmers Reservoir and Irrigation Company, FRICO. And they run water 365 days a year, pretty much do not shut it down for any reason at all. And so as part of the project, we were being required to maintain a 350 CFS flow in the ditch at all times, which pretty much meant we had to build a diversion channel. So in April, we had some conversations with them that there was a potential, I emphasize potential, that they might be shutting down the canal later in the year around November time to potentially do some maintenance if they were to shut it down. And so the team started really looking at the project in earnest to see if we could possibly get construction plans ready to go in 6 months. In May, we had some serious conversations with Adams County and decided to break the project in half. The original project was to build the storm sewer trunk line from 74th Avenue north to 78th as part of the street widening project, and then continue the trunk line north to the Dahlia Outfall, or the Dahlia detention basin at the outfall. And after some discussion, we thought that we could leverage our project partners' process to build the north half north of 78th and leave the rest of the trunk line to Adams County to build with the street widening project. So we broke out the project. And within a couple weeks, we brought BT Construction on board to start looking at design options and alternatives for tunneling. The reason why I brought them on specifically was because they had expertise in tunneling and boring, and I was interested in seeing if we could find a more feasible alternative than an open cut to go underneath the canal, and it would continue to run water without having to shut it down or keep a diversion channel. It was shortly after we were looking at those alternatives that I had another conversation with ERC, Ecological Resource Consultants, who is a consultant that we work with quite a bit, but they're also the engineer that represents the ditch company, FRICO. And we started talking very seriously to see if tunneling was even feasible at all, if that was something they would accept. And it came to light pretty quickly that no matter what technology we used, we would have to do a diversion. Whether it were open cut or tunneling, we'd still have to maintain a diversion channel in case the ditch were to collapse during tunneling. You see, there have been numerous crossings over the years, and they've had so many failures during construction that that FRICO wasn't willing to risk it. Not even if we had the very best contractor on board and the very best designers. So what did that mean for us? That meant that we would have to build a diversion, and they were giving us no more than a 48-hour window twice during construction. Once to send water down the diversion canal, and second to, at the end of construction, to restore the irrigation canal after the diversion was taken offline. And so we started going down that path with the design consultants, but we had a lot of questions. We felt like there were a lot of difficulties still to overcome with that scenario. And so we met with FRICO, the design team, Adams County, and myself met with FRICO, and we started talking about those complications, and it was very difficult to understand how you feasibly could do that. And in our minds, because we didn't have a lot of good examples, and so we kept asking the question of, help us to understand how this has been done in the past. Do you have some suggestions? What are your concerns? Where do you see the biggest risk? What opportunities do we have to leverage different technologies to try to accomplish and address your concerns with the risks associated with the canal? And it had some very long conversations with them, including what that diversion would have to look like and what that meant for the construction project. It wasn't, so the design team went back and we were exploring a lot of those options and still trying to figure that out when FRICO reached out to us to explore the opportunity of maybe paying to have the irrigation canal shut down during the month of November. And we negotiated in September that the project would pay $300,000 to have the irrigation canal shut down in a 3-week period in November. So it was on. We had to finish this project. We had to finish up the design and deal with all of the other challenges, not just the O'Brien Canal, and get under contract so that we could start very soon, within about a month. And so about a month later, we signed all of our agreements with FRICO, including payment and easements. And the project, the construction plans, had gone through numerous design reviews by ERC as well at this point, which is very short turnaround and a lot of dedication from them to make sure that this project could stay on track and we could hit that November deadline. A couple days before we had signed the agreements with FRICO, we had also signed our construction contract with BT Construction to start and be ready to move November 4th. And about 2 weeks, we had about a week of mobilization, and then we were ready to go. November 4th, they started demoing the 4 panels of the concrete lining and taking it out and putting the pipe in. It took them about the solid 2 weeks to deal with the very loose soil that was underneath the canal and get that backfilled after laying the pipe that was, again, reminding you it was about 25 feet deep at this point. And they were able to get the canal restored by November 24th, and that was a huge success. And that was a great way to start off the project because we had additional difficulties along the way with the landfill and with the corridor and the right-of-way issues. So like I said, we used our project partners process that allows us to bring the contractor in and the engineer in and start design and get contractor input during design. So our contractual partners were Adams County, Icon, and BT, as well as Landmark Environmental for the landfill issues, and Naranjo contractors were brought in as a subconsultant to BT to restore the concrete lining on the canal, because we knew they could do it and they knew that their dedication to the district, they would make it a priority to make it happen. But in addition to our contractual partners, there were other stakeholders like FRICO and ERC and CDOT and B&M Equipment, who was the adjacent landowner on the other side of the pipe. There was the FRICO ditch, the pipe, and then B&M. And they all had a commitment to making this project happen, or we wouldn't have been able to meet our deadlines at all, which is huge. And I'd like to highlight that even though the district has worked with many of these partners for a long time, this is the first time that I have ever worked with any of them. I'd worked with Icon Engineering, but not Scott Reed, the project engineer. And I had worked with some of Adams County's project managers, but not Jennifer Shee and not Renee Valdez. So it was all very new to me, and these were all new relationships that I was able to build with these partners as part of this project. So the one thing that I like about our project partners process is that it builds an environment where collaboration is encouraged. It builds trust between all of the partners involved. We have to, or we can't get projects done in a timely manner. There's commitment from all parties involved. You know, I highlighted our contractual partners, but the other stakeholders had a commitment to make this happen as well. I was communicating with all of them along the way, all the time. They were communicating between each other to make this work. And in the end, they were just really dedicated to meeting that deadline, which is, I think, is amazing. And I appreciate each of them so much and the effort that went into making us hit our deadlines. So why do I think that the project partners process worked in this particular project? And I think it really lies in that people like to be heard and understood. And project partners, like I said, is an environment that creates collaboration, encourages collaboration. It also supports curiosity. So when you don't know the answer, you can ask, and you really help to understand what everybody's risks are, what the intent is behind where they're going with requests or the design or just all of that. It builds curiosity throughout the whole team. And in the end, everybody wants to contribute and everybody wants to find win-win solutions that fit everybody's needs and meet everybody's goals. And I think that's one of the things that Project Partners is really good at doing, is setting that environment so that even if you're not a contractual partner, you still want to find win-win solutions because you're part of a environment and a team that wants to do good things. So that's how we built the Dahlia pipe project across the irrigation canal in only 7 months, and built lasting relationships for future projects with all of our stakeholders. Thank you.